Recently in Kenya, a couple of people were brought to the village square and set ablaze. They were alleged to be witches. Even in countries as sophisticated as United Kingdom, we saw, all of us witness the last riot on the streets of UK, and we did see some people break into shops and engage in all forms of looting. That in itself was a form of juggling justice. In Bolivia, on August 15th, 2 Brazilians who were accused of armed robbery were stripped naked and burned to death. So the point I'm trying to make is that this is not something that is just peculiar to us alone, but it is something that we must work together to put an end to. And in working together to put an end to it, Nigerians must not be quick to just simply heap all the blames of the Nigerian police force. We must work together as a people, as a nation. We must begin to review all our socialization process, starting from our families, because no matter, just take the case of the policeman that was involved, for instance. If you recruit a police officer, no matter the kind of training you give him, if you recruit a soldier, a custom officer, a journalist, no matter the kind of training you give the person will still carry the DNA of his family. The kind of training he was given originally in his family will continue to influence his actions, irrespective of the kind of the sophistication of the training you have given him. And that's the kind of challenge we have in this country. We must look at our family values and begin to reorient our kids so that they can begin to understand that violence in itself doesn't pay. We must also look at our school processes, the syllabi. What kind of syllabi do we have? What kind of things are our religious leaders teaching us? Is this a situation where our pastors and our clergymen continue to preach about posterity alone without telling us what to do as a people will not help us and take us to anywhere? We must look at the content of what our mass media are dishing out. Are we perhaps giving out too much violence related movies? Perhaps we must begin to review all this.
How we look at the general picture, is the Nigerian police afraid to take responsibility for this particular killing, considering the fact that, 2 officers were there, even though right now we hear that 1 officer did try, the other joined in the beating. Are you trying to shirk responsibility off the Nigerian police?
Look, I want to say this and say this very proudly. The Nigerian police force remain one of the few institutions of government in Nigeria that engages continuously in internal cleansing. We are one of those few agencies that come out openly to admit our wrongs, come out openly to expose our own officers and personnel who have erred and who have gone wrong. These officers were not even among those who were sent to the scene. They were actually on their way from work. They stumbled into this incident. And one of them, he was indeed on a frolic of his own. By the very nature of our training, if you decide to go outside the code of conduct, outside the professional ethics of the job, you are definitely on your own. And the good thing again, and the reassuring thing again, is that the fact there are 2, and one of them was indeed professional enough to say, oh, please stop. And of course, the other persons join in the frenzy. And so it's not a question of shirking our responsibility. In fact, the fact that we located him, the fact that we arrested him, the fact that we subjected him to an internal disciplinary procedure, the fact that we have dismissed him, and the fact that we're ready to tell the world about his atrocities and are prepared to persecute him, I think that is a measure of our impartiality. That's a measure of our professionalism. That's a measure of our resolve and determination to put an end to all forms of impunity.
Then, are you also taking responsibility for the killings? Because in the wake of that, we've had to question the response time of security agencies when they're called. Do you think that it can be improved upon? Do you think that, because you said that these are not part of the people who were even sent there, so what that means is that some people were sent there but still couldn't do anything about it?
Let me explain that. First of all, let me try to make you understand the way the mob actions are carried out. Mob actions usually have certain, they are segmented. At the initial stage, where you call perhaps the initial or primary stage, you see people gathering together. You see them, complaining. In the Nigerian parlance, you see them saying things like, "We no go agree. This man," and it goes on. Tension begins to build gradually. At that point in time, nobody is being hit, nobody is being beaten. Tension and tempers are rising, and then you get to the secondary stage. At the secondary stage, you begin to have a little bit of pushing, knocking, and all that, and threatening words and all that, and then you get to the climax, which you could call the tertiary stage. At this stage, the passion have gone wild, reasoning has flew out of their brain, and then they begin to descend on the suspects. Now, what happened as it relates to police responses? First of all, you need to find out at what stage were the police invited. If a call did come to the police at the primary stage, the tendency for that situation to be quickly brought under control is higher. But perhaps everybody at that scene were just busy watching and enjoying the ugly scene, and then perhaps at the secondary stage or at the tertiary stage, someone is calling. If a call comes at that stage, the police, remember that Isiokpo police station that covers Aluu community is about 10 kilometers away from Aluu community. There are ongoing constructions on those roads, and the terrains are difficult. Now, depending on the stage that somebody made that call through, you probably discover that except you are flying with a helicopter, you may definitely not get there on time. And again, even when you arrive such a scene, you must exercise restraint. If you arrive at the primary or at the secondary stage, it is easier for you to forcefully get your way through. But if you arrive at the tertiary stage where they are already crazy, you have two options. It is either you shoot your way through, which could actually lead to heavy collateral damages, or if you are lucky and you have arrived at the scene with perhaps water cannon and tear gas canisters, that is to say you have full picture of the scenario before leaving the station, and you have prepared as if you are going to confront rioters, you will be able to handle the situation. But most often than not, the call that comes to you will not give you these details. They will simply tell you, they will simply give you very scanty information. So these are all the things we need to put to place. It is very easy to throw out blames. It's very easy to apportion blames. But can we ask ourselves this question? Does Aluu community not have elders? Does Aluu community not have rulers? Are there not men and women of goodwill in our Aluu community who could hold on their own even before the arrival of the police? These are questions we will ask. And that's why I am saying that Nigerians, we must begin to review our socialization process. We must begin to inculcate in ourselves that civic training that enables us to know that we are one. We ought to be our brother's keepers. We must realize that every suspect on the street is deemed innocent until proven guilty by the court of law. Is it not somebody that raised that false alarm? Is it the police that raised the false alarm? It's very easy to forget how this crisis started and throw up all the blame on the security agencies. But we must review a whole lot of things, and we must begin to know that police officers, federal government, the military, the state security services cannot go to our respective family and bring up our children.